This is Binghamton Now on News Radio 1290 WNBF Binghamton and WNBF.com.
Hey there. Bob Joseph reporting for duty. Today is Thursday, August 15th, 2024. As the best reality show in Binghamton hits the air. 607-772-1290. Go ahead. Make that call. WNBF. And as we hit the airwaves today, it is my honor and privilege to report that the state of Binghamton now has never been stronger. We are looking forward not only to today's program and tomorrow's program, but for all the programs ahead. There are so many guests, so many topics, so many callers, and so much to discuss. And that's why we're here. That's why we do it. That's why we do it. Because we know there is an audience for this type of radio. I know. You say, but Bob, it's so old-fashioned. I know. It is. And yet, despite the feeling that it's old-fashioned, it still is current and exciting and sometimes unpredictable. So we welcome you to our broadcast. First off, looking at WNBF.com, the source of many interesting original local news stories. I extend my congratulations to Ziad Ghanem of Johnson City for opening his deli and convenience store, grocery store on the south side. Yeah, it took a little longer to get things all set, but they did it. Required some work over the last several weeks, but they're in business on Conklin Avenue at Tompkins Street. That's the place that for many years was home to some sort of sandwich shop before it inexplicably was shut down. So congratulations to him. If you want to see some more information about the Stop and Shop Deli story on Binghamton South Side, take a look at WNBF.com. It's been a little bit of an adventure. You work hard, and then you get your business going. Let's take a call at 9:13. Good morning, WNBF. You're on the air. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Binghamton John.
Binghamton John. Good morning.
How are you, Bob?
I'm well. How are things on the city's illustrious west side?
Very bohemian.
Oh.
You know, they are getting their dreadlocks and their beards and leaving their legs unshaven for Porch Fest.
All right. Well, it's almost time for some sort of rhapsody by my favorite group, The Queen. All right. So, and is the Porch Fest this weekend?
No, I hope not.
What do you do, since you are on the west side and the Porch Fest certainly attracts sometimes a large crowd? What do you do during the Porch Fest? Do you go out and enjoy it, or do you hunker down?
I handled it in a variety of ways.
Yeah.
I left once. I absorbed it as fully as I could once. I went out later to see it. But I can hear it. So, I mean, when Third Stone from the Sun, if you remember that tune, comes on, I know it's about time for it to end. Oh, they're paving the streets, by the way. You know,
I did see that.
Yeah.
It's how timely.
Yeah. Anyway, you know, we have an interesting congressional race, a very expensive congressional race. If you have a broadcast franchise in the couple cities here.
The TV stations, and I can't go into specifics, but I can tell you the people with the biggest smiles in Broome County are the people who are the sales managers or general managers of the 3 TV stations. Man, they're going to be raking in the dough. I mean, not thousands, millions. This is a great year for American broadcasters.
Yeah, and it's not like, it's not like they have great political coverage either, But both of them have commercials on. Molinaro claims he's the second most bipartisan person in Congress, and Riley says it's not about party or something to that effect. I don't understand why these two guys just didn't create their own lines and run as independents. If they're so nonpartisan, why would they want to be soiled by these banners one way or another? So that's I've felt that. I think we're being had, Bob.
Have you ever met Josh Riley?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I knew the answer to that. I'm like an attorney asking questions during trial. I know the answers. Well, and as I've said before, intriguingly, although I am a former resident of West Endicott, and Josh Riley grew up in West Endicott, actually, I think a couple of blocks where I had lived for a time, I've never met the guy. I mean, I know he exists because I've seen his commercials, and I also know he exists because we have spoken on this program by phone, but I just find it still one of the most strange things that in some respects we have something in common, and yet I've never met the guy, despite, he's always invited. John, I have an open door policy for congressional candidates. Mark Molinaro's been in the studio several times, but not Josh Riley. I mean, one time, actually, I recall, live on the air, I requested that you relay a message to Mr. Riley, who I think at the time was 2 blocks away. No, not even 2 blocks away from the studio. He had every opportunity to pop in. There was ample time for him to pop in and at least shake my hand. I do live in the congressional district, so one would think every vote would count.
Here's what I'm troubled by as far as his campaign goes. He says that the politicians sold us out, corrupt politicians, and he is referencing, I guess, the time frame of the deindustrialization. That would be, I guess, in the 90s. But is he talking about Maurice Hinchey? Who's he talking about? See, Bob, if I'm going to criticize someone, I'm going to put a name on it. If I'm going to say somebody's corrupt, if I'm going to say there's the corrupt politicians, is he talking about Bill Clinton? Who
maybe he's talking about Richard Milhouse Nixon. Maybe he's going back 50 years ago. I think he would probably do well to be, shall we say, specific with those he's criticizing.
Well, particularly because he's an officer of the court. It sort of equates to a mandated reporter. Not really, but it does. If you are so cocksure of corruption in the area, but yet you don't want to name who was corrupt, that doesn't seem like you're playing it straight.
Well, I don't know. It's going to be interesting. Yeah. To your original point, though, this is a grand opportunity. A grand opportunity for stations. And I mentioned the TV stations, but, in the interest of transparency, I have to think that WNBF radio and our related stations here at Town Square Media are going to gain as well something. Obviously the bulk of the money is going to be dumped into TV, but...
Well, what's interesting about that is these newspapers that are heavily political, the New York Times and the Washington Post. How many ads are there? Is there ever a full-page ad saying, vote for whoever?
Not much anymore, but that speaks to the diminishing power of print.
Yeah.
Years ago, if you recall, there occasionally were a fair number of newspaper ads, both in the Binghamton paper when we had one, and then also in bigger city papers. Not so often full-page ads, but sometimes prominent ads, but that's now a rarity.
Yeah, congressional candidate told me, and he was from Newburgh, when he was slicing up his budget, he included all the newspapers, and he told me, he says, you got to do it. He says, you got to throw him a bone, and...
well, especially when newspapers in the past actually did candidate endorsements. I mean, obviously, most people would always anticipate the New York Times would be inclined to endorse a Democratic candidate in most races. Not always. There were exceptions, but still, never hurts for a candidate, any candidate, by the way, to show that at least they're aware you exist. Maybe they don't have to spend the vast majority of their advertising budget with your organization, but at least a certain acknowledgement is good for the soul.
One more thing, Bob. I've expressed this before. I wondered what your callers would say. I have a very my bad feeling on what's going to happen with the Trump campaign is really increased, and I don't buy the biased coverage, but we cannot discount it either. That it's starting and it's going to continue. I don't have a good feeling about this at all, and
don't you think, in the end, despite the claims that the people in the media in the United States tend to be all liberal and all progressive, and therefore the assumption is they support the Democratic ticket regardless of who's running, that it's reflexive, don't you think secretly, even if they would never admit it publicly on the air or in their columns or whatever, don't you think secretly most reporters, even if they're very progressive and very liberal, when it comes to thinking about the next 4 years, what they're going to report on and what they'll have to write about, don't you think that most would like Trump and Vance to win?
No, I don't. I think that they want to re-amplify the government points every. I don't know if secretly they would. I mean, maybe perhaps some of them, but I think that.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, the reality is a Kamala Harris administration for the next 8 years. It's just my sense. I don't know exactly what would happen, but I think to a large extent there'd be so many boring days with a Trump-Vance administration starting January 20th. Don't know exactly what they would do for 4 years, but I can tell you from a news standpoint and a talk show standpoint, it would be far more interesting, far more invigorating.
Well, in hindsight, here it is. One wonders what would have happened if Rush Limbaugh had lived. But the other thing is that there was a strategic mistake, and I think it's clear now, of consenting to that early debate. I mean, Trump essentially knocked Biden out.
Well, it is ironic. Yes, that's an interesting point. By agreeing to a June 27th debate and exposing, essentially, and sorry, Sean Hannity, not literally, but figuratively, the president has no clothes. I mean, by doing that in late June and allowing a small window of opportunity for the Democrats to try to, as some people suggest, perform some kind of coup. I don't know if it really should be considered that, but basically do what had to be done, because I don't care if, say, the same thing, say, if you use your imagination, that Donald Trump put in that kind of performance at the June debate, Republicans would also, even those who are most supportive of Mr. Trump would also probably have been forced to say, now what do we do? Because look at this, it's a little over 4 months till Election Day, and if that's what we have to look forward to, we got to do something. We got to find someone somewhere to save the ticket, or else, say, if Biden had put in kind of a performance that at least was on par with how he did in the debates in 2020, and for whatever reason Donald Trump was I don't even know what word applies, but just not clearly not up to the task. And Republicans, I think, would also have been a pickle. I mean, but also the thing that we saw with Donald Trump, and I give him a whole lot of credit. Yeah, he did what he does in debates, but he also managed to tone it down to the point where he, in that 90 minutes or so during the CNN debate, he was, I think, viewed as far more palatable to independents or maybe to some people that had not made up their mind.
Well, I would say this. That's going to be in the political science textbooks, because nobody is ever going to debate anybody that doesn't have the nomination of their party.
Well, and that's one reason I think why J.D. Vance, his campaign, and the candidate are holding off before officially accepting the CBS debate invitation, because they don't want to be backed into a corner. Oh, yeah, we agreed to have one debate with Tim Walz, and then come to find out the Democrats put on a different candidate. And not that it would happen, but who knows? We're living in a totally bizarro world as far as politics, U.S. presidential politics is concerned. We've never seen it.
And finally, I guess my vote now for Trump is solidified, since RFK Jr. is off the ballot, and I was looking forward in one way to another voting line, another ballot line, and I mentioned the fact that might be a wise spend of a vote. If the Democrat ticket was going to win anyway. But I'll tell you something. I hope my fellow, I worry about the depression that's going to ensue. They talk about the after Hillary depression. This will, if this happens, there's a whole lot of people in this country. I mean, it's portrayed in civil war. I don't think it's going to go to a civil war, but what I think it's going to do is I think it's just going to knock the wind of sail to almost put Trump supporters on the verge of suicide. I mean, Well,
I was just about to ask, does that mean if, again, I have no way of knowing how the election will go, but if Donald Trump loses this, do you think there suddenly will be a spate of commercials offering psychological assistance through 800 numbers and websites?
Yeah, Hillary's re-education camp. And, it's not coincidental that Obama's got this book coming out, seeking to parlay the convention into book sales.
Well, of course. So, hey, make money while you can. Make money while the sun shines. Appreciate your call, John. That's the story from the West Side. Making contemporary news. It's 928 WNBF. When you check out the WNBF.com website, as I'm sure many people do routinely, maybe you're only looking, perhaps you're only looking for news and interesting articles. Maybe you want to be informed and occasionally amused. But you should also look at our website for some of the other features, including the Seize the Deal store. Seize the Deal. Just click on the Seize the Deal button on the trending bar at the top of WNBF's homepage. Then you can seize the deal, take a look at the deals. Amazing deals right now. Amazing. Sky Zone Trampoline Park. Birthday parties at Sky Zone. Crown Rust Protection Service from J&R Auto Upholstery on Binghamton's west side. E-voucher to North Street Tavern. These are big deals, and you can get them at WNBF.com. Seize the deal. WNBF.com, informing you and saving money simultaneously. 607-772-1290 is the number, or you can call us using the little call button on the WNBF app. See where it says call? Go boop. And before you know it, a little light will ring on the control panel, and a familiar voice will answer, and then you'll be on the air. Bob Joseph live, Binghamton Now. Let's go back to the phones. Chris in Binghamton, you're on the air.
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
I'm a big fan of your show. Actually, I just canceled my Sirius XM, and I found you by accident. But I've been listening to you for about 2 weeks, so I'm pretty okay with what you've got going on. I just wanted to tell your fellow Republican listeners out there that, I don't know, some people might not know this, but Trump is going to be in Wilkes-Barre this Saturday. He goes on at the Mohegan Sun at 4 o'clock. And anybody and everybody who's into supporting him, and I think this election is so crucial that they should definitely head down, show their support, show up in numbers, like rally numbers. Polls are all, skewed and scattered all over the place. But this is such an important election, and, everyone's talking about the black curtains that are put up and the actual attendance numbers. And nobody really, I don't think, has a clear idea of the actual people in attendance. So if you're a huge fan of him and you really want to see a better change in government and you're not into this woke BS that's literally taking over every aspect of everyone's life, head down on Saturday, show up, show your support for him. Really just educate everybody, educate your fans, your friends on the actual facts. Because what's going on in the media, Trump is fighting two wars. He's fighting a war against Kamala Harris and her psychotic team, and he's also fighting a war against the media. And I don't think it's right at all. I think everybody's entitled to the same information. And when you Google Trump campaign, you know what pops up? Kamala Harris appearances, and that's wrong. That's wrong on so many levels. So go out, go listen to him, show your support for him. And really, everybody's got the wrong information is out there in everyone's hands. The media is just not accurately, it's journalistic malpractice. It really, really is right now. Go out there and get the facts.
Will you be there?
Advice to everybody. Hell yeah.
Have you registered?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, of course. You have
right.
to register.
How do people register? Do they have to go to the campaign website to register for Saturday afternoon's rally?
Yeah, I Googled Trump rally Wilkes-Barre, and there were links there. I don't know the exact website. I'm driving, but you have to register. They'll give you the registration confirmation in a text message and go. Go, show up, get the right information. Do yourself a favor. Don't listen to everything that's, people are talking. Social media is the worst. It's all toxic. It's not right. There's so many lies out there. Go listen for yourself. Go listen to him. It's my best advice to everybody. Go to these appearances.
Okay.
You're going to get the right information. Really do that.
All right. Well, thank you for calling, and also thanks for listening. Glad you discovered us.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks.
It's 9:36 at WNBF and WNBF.com. Former President Donald Trump will be in Pennsylvania on Saturday for a campaign rally in Luzerne County, one of my favorite places in Luzerne County, Wilkes-Barre. This will mark his second time in the Keystone State since he survived the assassination attempt at a rally in Butler last month. So that rally will be Saturday afternoon, scheduled to start at about 4 o'clock. So if you're interested, you can go to the Donald Trump campaign website for more information and register for what will be a very interesting appearance by the former president in Pennsylvania. It's 9:36 at WNBF. Good morning. You're on the air. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning there, Bob. It's Dave from Vestal. How's it going?
It is going well. Every day it gets better.
Good. Interesting last call there, Bob. That was pretty cool. Hey, I'm calling to comfort John. I want him to stop worrying, Bob. The song, They Won't Get Fooled Again. I imagine, especially independents out there, Bob, ashamed, embarrassed that they voted for Biden. They won't get fooled again. They're going to decide it, Bob. And I hear this. You're talking about offering mental health to the people if Trump should lose. Bob, if Harris wins, the mental health help should be offered to the people that vote for her. That's where the mental help needs to come in. Got to watch out for that, Bob. But, John should relax. Trump's going to hammer away at the states he needs to. He'll be in the swing states. He stays on script. It'll be a piece of cake. Because Harris is just a terrible candidate, Bob. And I'm still waiting for her supporters to call in and at least admit it. But they're not.
They like her. I know. I talked with one And she said that I like her. She is energetic. She touches on the issues that are very important to women. And they also, for whatever reason, don't ask me, for whatever reason, they appreciate her choice for vice president. They actually, for whatever reason, don't ask me, they like Tim Walz better than J.D. Vance. I don't get it either.
Well, Bob, it just isn't going to happen.
I mean, who are we to judge? The bottom line is, in the end, each of us as Americans has one vote. One person, one vote, and then we'll vote. We'll get a big bowl of popcorn, and we'll watch the results on Fox News and see how it goes.
The independents won't get fooled again, Bob.
I know. Thank you, David. By the way, for those who are interested, and I just did this to prove that Google, as much as we think Google is rigged, Google, if you go to Google and type in Trump Wilkes-Barre rally, you will find the website. I just did it myself. So this confirms that Google is not anti-Trump, contrary to what some people believe. So type in Trump space Wilkes-Barre, sure to put the hyphen, space, and rally, and it takes you right to the thing. President Donald J. Trump to hold a rally in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. You may only register up to 2 tickets per mobile number per event. All tickets are subject to first come, first served basis. It will be August 17th, 4 p.m. The doors will open at noon at Mohegan Sun Arena, Highland Park Boulevard in Wilkes-Barre. And I might register for my tickets now. Why not? Why not? All you have to do, you put in your name, email address, phone number, zip code, and state how many tickets. Again, that's a trick question because everybody is going to ask for 2 tickets. Can you imagine registering for the rally in Wilkes-Barre on Saturday afternoon and asking for only 1 ticket? What kind of person are you? That will raise a red flag. Seriously, if you yes, Bob Joseph put in a request for 1 ticket. And people are going to say, well, isn't he the Bob Joseph from Binghamton that talked with Donald Trump about a decade ago? So yes, if you're going to request tickets, again, maximum 2, request the maximum. If you get 2 tickets and you're only going to use 1, then call me because maybe my request won't get through. I mean, it's first come, first serve. So that's how you do it. They have it on the internet. So, by the way, and not surprising, there's also a red button in the upper right corner of the screen. I'm going to push this out. It says contribute. So I just push the contribute button. Trump 47, take your support to the next level. You are one of my top supporters, and the MAGA movement needs you. Together we can save America. Donate today. The first option, and I think this is really, really clever. First option says $20.24. So get it? It's $20.24. So even the average voter could afford that. Or get this, $47. Get it? Because if he wins, he would be the 47th president. Or $100, $250, $500, $1,000, or $3,300. Or there's another button for other. I'm not going to type in. I was going to type in $12.90 so they would know it's from WNBF. Your contribution will benefit Trump 47 campaign. And there's a box you could check. I would like to cover the processing fee, so 100% of my donation goes to Trump 47 committee. By providing your phone number, you're consenting to receive calls and recurring messages, including auto-dialed and automated or pre-recorded calls and texts to that number from Donald J. Trump for president, as well as the Republican National Committee and their affiliated committees. Message and data rates may apply. No purchase necessary. Terms and conditions apply. Oh, please read to learn how information about you is collected, used, and or disclosed by Donald J. Trump for President 2024. The Republican National Committee and any affiliates. Campaign finance law requires us to collect your employment information. There's a box you can check if you're retired, or you could put in employer. In my case, I would put in WNBF, occupation, talking head, card number 4036 227. Wait, shouldn't put that on the air. Set a password to create an account. Donate by clicking donate. I accept the terms of use and privacy. All right. Let's take a break while I fill in the appropriate blanks. 607-772-1290. This is Bob Joseph on the air, live on WNBF and WNBF.com. Let's take a look at the weather forecast. It's still a decent forecast as opposed to last week when most of the forecasts were indecent. Mostly sunny today, isolated showers and thunderstorms this afternoon, high 85, mainly clear tonight, low 59, mostly sunny tomorrow, high 85. And then Saturday, cloudy with a chance of showers and thunderstorms, high 75. Right now it's 62 in downtown Binghamton, that's 17 Celsius. Hazardous weather. Hazardous weather is not expected today or tonight. However, so you don't run out of things to worry about from the Department of Anxiety, thunderstorms with gusty winds and heavy rainfall are possible Saturday and Sunday. So if that's the type of thing that bothers you, seek shelter or counseling. Air quality not so hot. Apparently we're still getting some more of the smoke from some Canadian wildfires. Air quality index for Binghamton now is 68. Remember that station? Back when they had announcers. Yes, the air quality is 68. I know a guy who used to work there. 68. And the I guess they say a lot of the haze that people were saying was from the Canadian wildfires. I'm not really sure. Couldn't see this morning because of the fog, but I wouldn't be surprised. I've been fortunate this summer compared to, remember last year, yeeps. That was that pollution last summer was a little overwhelming. First week of June. It's 9:49 WNBF. We're here till noon for those who wish to participate. 607-772-1290. It was a real pleasure to welcome Phil Jordan back to the WNBF Golden microphone, the Golden WNBF microphone. He hadn't been on WNBF in a long time. I don't know exactly how long it's been, but he was on the station back when I was a little kid when I started here. I don't know, trying to remember how old I was when I started, maybe 4 or 5 years old. And so I was running the thing, answering the phone calls and running the microphone and all that when Phil Jordan was on with his radio show back in the day. And then I hadn't seen him for decades, and then suddenly here he is in the studio. So it was weird. In a good way. Not weird in a bad way. Not weird like you know who. Just weird to see someone you haven't seen in so many years. It was great to have a conversation. If you missed it, I know some people were disappointed because they missed the conversation with Phil Jordan. on Wednesday's program, you can go to our website, WNBF.com, to hear the whole thing. Oh, and a little bit of bonus content because we also did a short off-air conversation. So that's all on the website, WNBF.com. It's 9:50. Good morning. You're on the air. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Hello, Bob. It's Gary from the West Side.
Hi. What's going on the West Side? Anything wild? Anything weird?
No, it's pretty quiet around where I live, which is a good thing. Porch Fest will be coming up in a couple of weeks. That'll be nice to see. I wanted to, we have a good opportunity here. When Trump or Harris, they go to these places and they have the rallies, all you really hear are the negatives from them, right? Oh, this is what Trump does bad. Oh, this is what Harris does bad, right? So we have a good opportunity here, Bob. There's a lot of Republicans from this area. Hopefully they'll be going down there to see Donald Trump. And then they could come back and they could call your show and say, this is what Donald Trump proposed to do. You know, I'm wondering...
Wouldn't it be nice if they came back on Monday morning and said, this is what Donald Trump proposed to do to help the Binghamton area? Wouldn't that be nice?
That will not happen. I'm sure.
Well, I know it won't happen because the Binghamton area is not important to him. He's more likely to talk about what he would do to help the people in Halstead or Great Bend. He already has conceded New York. He knows that winning New York is totally impossible under any circumstance. And it doesn't have to be rigged. It's just look at the numbers. Look at New York City. New York City, I don't care if 61 or 57 other counties in the state all go for Trump. New York City is going to make it so Kamala Harris easily wins New York State. So he doesn't care whether the people in Endwell or Catatonk vote for him. I mean, he would like it. Don't get me wrong. Every vote helps his ego, but it doesn't help him gain any electoral votes.
Yeah, he can't win his home state, but you know, that's just because, well, and that's why he was Democratic when he first started out, right? But
right, that's why he supported, when he started out, he was pro-choice. Look at his record, say from the 70s and 80s, and compare it to his record now in the 21st century. It's a whole different Donald Trump.
Right, but I do think there's an opportunity here for people to express and to let us know firsthand what Donald Trump is proposing to do. Now, I don't want to hear that Kamala Harris is dumb. She's not smart. I don't want to hear that he said that, well, Kamala Harris didn't do well at the border. She was in charge. I don't want to hear about it. I want to hear about what is he going to do. What's he going to do about health care?
So you want to hear 10 positive proposals emerge from Saturday afternoon's rally in Wilkes-Barre. That's what you're looking forward to.
Well, I hope there is 10 positive proposals. I mean, right, isn't this is what the politicians are supposed to do? They're supposed to get their ideas out there, not just constantly bash the opponents. Isn't that what they're supposed to do? Don't we want to know that?
That's what they're supposed to do. The reason they don't is research proves it doesn't work. The nonstop negativity is what works. They do, trust me, they do research, they do focus groups. He's not being clever with his negativity. He's doing exactly what his advisors tell him to do that will, in their view, work best ultimately to solidify support among the people who love him most. The most important thing about this year's election is turnout. So if Donald Trump's strongest supporters turn out and Kamala Harris's supporters decide, I like her, but I don't know, there's something good tonight on Action News. I want to see what they're doing on the news deck, and they decide not to vote, well, then Donald Trump could potentially win. It's all a matter of turnout. You encourage your supporters to turn out. You do everything in your power to suppress the number of people who show up to vote for your opponent.
And how many more millions of Democratic voters are there than Democrats? I forget. You've said
lots.
In the past.
Democrats outnumber Republicans in this country, and that's
by
the
at least
thing.
10 million, right?
I don't know the actual numbers. I think you're right. But the bottom line is Republicans traditionally have been more motivated to actually get out of their basement or out of their living room or out of their backyard and actually go to the polls, whether it's raining or snowing. They are more dedicated to voting for the candidates they love. Democrats.
Good for the Republicans.
Yes.
Good for the Republicans.
Well, yes, good for the Republicans. The Democrats ought to figure it out. They ought to call a Republican friend and say, how do you do it? How do you motivate voters to actually not just say they like our policies and like our proposals, but to actually go out and cast the vote? Because if you're not careful, your candidate will lose, or maybe your candidate will wind up in a tie simply because you didn't vote.
Right. Yeah. You know, I'm with John, too, from Binghamton about I was disappointed that Kennedy did not get on the ballot here in New York. But, I mean, he lied about where he lived.
Yeah, I know. Right? He lied about that. And I don't think he told the full story about the bear. So I have some serious questions about what the guy's up to. I'm not saying he's a Ted Kennedy, but you sometimes wonder. We've got more coming up. It's Thursday Live. I'm Bob Joseph at 92.1 FM, 1290 AM, streaming at WNBF.com. We welcome back to the program Rebecca Rathmel, who was a candidate for city council last year and in the last few days has officially announced that she is running again in the 6th District. Welcome back.
Thank you. Always a pleasure.
Well, second time could be the charm.
That's the hope, right?
So tell us about your official announcement. I wasn't there. I have to admit, I don't usually attend official announcements. I usually try to have conversations with candidates on this program.
I prefer the conversations, so thank you.
So tell us about the announcement. I know you held it at a specific place with an appropriate backdrop.
I did. I held it at the former Weiss location on Conklin Avenue. So many of the neighbors who I've spoken to as I've knocked on doors in the last several weeks, I mean, the official announcement honestly felt a little silly because I don't think it's a surprise to anyone that I'm running again for this special election for the 6th District. But, I mean, the Weiss location, as I've chatted with neighbors in the last several weeks, one of the things that they consistently bring up is the closure of the Weiss and the lack of a full-service grocery option on Southside East. I mean, many residents are discouraged. They feel like it's just another example of local leaders' disinvestment, disinterest in our side of town.
And I know I've covered this story for months. I think I was the first one. They were shocked when I showed up.
That's how we heard about it, Bob. Which is wild.
Yeah, when I showed up at the Wise store, and they said, "Wait, we just told our employees about an hour ago. How did you find out?" I said, "I guess maybe somebody told me."
Yeah, I found out through you as well, through your article, and then several neighbors. I mean, all started talking about it. We have so many seniors on Southside East who don't have transportation of their own. We have we have low-income housing on that side of town with residents who have young children, no transportation of their own. So it was a shock and remains truly a challenge. We, Hadassah, Medovetsky, Kenya Middleton, and I held a public forum just before the Weiss actually closed. And I think, to our community's credit, a lot of the folks that showed up to voice their concern said this is, it's an inconvenience for me, but I have a vehicle and I'm going to be able to get there. But the concern from so many folks was, what about the folks who aren't going to be able to get to either other Weiss location?
And that's what I think about as a reporter. You know, I can zip around to another Wise store or any other store in Binghamton or the surrounding areas. So these closures, whether it's a drugstore, in so many cases around Binghamton, drugstores, pharmacies closing down, whether CVS or Walgreens. And these are things that are a real necessity. People cannot just say
basic needs.
Yeah, well, I can shop for food once a month, or I can get my prescriptions filled once a month, or wait for everything to be delivered. That's not an option for many people. So aside from working to deal with that issue, especially at 307 Conklin Avenue, with the knowledge that had been a supermarket for more than 6 decades. The Akels opened up a store there, the Giant supermarket, back in 1964. That was a fixture for so many people. Actually, so many people who live in that neighborhood, it was there all their lives, either as a Giant or a Wise. And so what else can be done? I know one of the first questions I asked Jared Cram when he was here after the announcement, can another supermarket go in at that location? And many people said, well, what about Aldi?
Right.
Because Aldi is known for having basic food, high quality food at reasonable prices. And what the mayor said, well, that would be nice, but as far as the traffic count, it's probably not a location that Aldi would seriously consider. So what other options? What other options might be open?
And you're right, Aldi's came up. The Greater Good grocery option came up when we held the public forum, and I know that's something that Councilmember Middleton and Senator Leo Webb have been in conversation about. I think it will take some local dedicated funds, some public revenue to support, given the so you mentioned traffic. You mentioned that profit potential may not be as compelling, but we certainly have revenue opportunities, I think, to support from a public level. One thing that came up at the forum that I find really, really interesting, because it's a community solution, is the potential of a food co-op or a food sharing, a food buying type approach. That's not my area of expertise, but one thing that I've said consistently, and even when I announced last week, I believe strongly with many organizers, many community advocates, that those who are closest to the problem are closest to the solution, but often farthest from power and resources. So one of the ways that I'm hoping to at least approach a community conversation around that closure and next steps, again, with no updates or next steps from the city, is by putting together a constituent advisory committee of folks who are directly impacted by food insecurity and that closure, so that we can begin to talk about what might work best for them.
We're talking with Rebecca Rathmel, Democratic candidate in Binghamton's 6th Council District. So you're going to face Phil Strawn again, the Republican.
As far as we know. Yeah.
I haven't heard anything official. I keep waiting to hear something official, but that's based on everything I've heard. Have there been any recent rumblings that
Not to my knowledge. No, I've not heard anything official yet. I know a couple of stations have reached out but haven't gotten word back. I think what I'm focusing on when I talk to folks at the door are the issues. Most of them don't know who their former representative was. Many have heard of some kind of tie that occurred last year, so I often get like, oh, that was you. But many of them I had conversations with all through last summer too. And so we're revisiting the primary concerns that were brought up last year, and I'm asking folks, what has changed? Does this still resonate? And again, I mean, time and time again, the two primary concerns that are brought up are housing quality and housing affordability.
What about crime? How much do you hear about crime as an issue in that portion of the South Side?
I don't hear a lot about crime. There's public safety conversations that we have, and what's interesting to me about I shouldn't say that I don't hear a lot about crime. There are concerns about activities. Often folks are connecting crime to certain populations, but what's interesting to me as we get into those discussions is that what they're actually talking about is not so much response to a crime, but they want to see prevention. And I think where we're able to really dig into solutions, is the fact that safe, stable housing prevents crime. Food security, access to sustainable food and affordable food prevents crime. Access to mental health services, inclusive youth programming, all of those things as community resources prevent crime, when so often the public safety conversation is limited to just law enforcement response.
As far as trying to connect with people, and certainly, as you mentioned, you're going door to door, as you did during last year's campaign. But I understand you also recently did a podcast.
I did. It hasn't been released yet. So,
all right.
And I should say, I am not hosting the podcast. I'm being interviewed on the podcast. I'm like an 80-year-old woman when it comes to technology. I don't want a new app. I don't want to learn a new platform, but I'm happy to have a conversation. So it was actually Pro Social World, which is the organization
so it's
who
been recorded.
It's recorded. It should be released in the next couple of days, but it's a whole hour plus where we're really able to dig into not so much my candidacy, but the housing issues locally, potential solutions to homelessness that we're seeing and the increases that we've experienced. So that was fun.
And of course, that's the cornerstone issue that you've been involved in Binghamton in the Southern Tier for many years.
It's wild to look back and think that this summer is 18 years that I've been doing this work in Binghamton. It's an area certainly of expertise at this point, but it continues to be the one that I'm most passionate about. I don't think you can do the work that I've done for 18 years without seeing how hard it is for far too many. I mean, we've seen homelessness among school-age children in the city of Binghamton increased by almost 90% in the last decade. Over 70% when it comes to families with children. There are too many struggling, and it doesn't have to be this way.
So after nearly 2 decades, do you ever find yourself frustrated or discouraged that sometimes maybe there are victories, but sometimes if you look at the big picture, it still seems that the problem may be as serious as ever. You look out on the streets. I mean, we can't escape it now.
That's the reason that I'm running. I never intended to be a politician. This was not the plan. But I've submitted, in those almost 2 decades, I've submitted dozens of pages of proposals. I led Executive Garner's Safe Housing Task Force for 2 years. I was on former Mayor David's Commission to End Veteran Homelessness. I've sat on these committees and councils and task forces, and not that hasn't been valuable time spent, but the actual implementation of those policies and those solutions are almost always stopped at a city council or local municipal government level. So I want to sit in the seat to make the decision rather than spend time attempting to educate elected officials on why it's the right thing to do.
To be continued, and we will have you back on the program.
Happy to.
We will have Phil Strawn, if indeed, as is expected, that he will run again. I guess the bottom line is, for people who really don't pay attention much to politics, and I understand that perhaps elected officials and people involved in certain activities pay a lot more attention to what's going on with city council or other elections, but it's still important, as became crystal clear with last November's election, the 6th District, where after weeks we learned it ended officially in a tie.
Dead tie. Yep. No one expected it, and we absolutely want to avoid it this year.
Stay tuned. Hope you have a good day.
Tom. Thanks, you too.
It's 10:24. This is Binghamton Now, live and local on WNBF. 10:28. We also encourage you to check our website, WNBF.com. We have the local news that you may not find elsewhere. Some special features. I've got a couple of stories that I'm preparing that you'll see shortly at WNBF.com. I also mentioned earlier that our interview, Wednesday's interview with Phil Jordan, is posted in its entirety at WNBF.com. Also, there's information about next week's Town Square Media Job Fair. That'll be on Wednesday from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Broome County Regional Farmers Market on Upper Front Street in the town of Dickinson. If you want to know what's going on at the job fair, you can see it all. See it all. WNBF.com. And big list of people who will be in a hiring mode at the job fair, including the Children's Home of Wyoming Conference, 6th Judicial District, and Elmcrest. Take a look. The job fair is next Wednesday, and details at WNBF.com. 1029, good morning, WNBF. You're on the air. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, it's Airport Road Bob.
Morning.
Listen, how are you? Great. Just a quick update. You know, I kind of pay attention to the news, and I haven't heard anything, but I heard last night when I stopped over in West Corners that there were some gun robberies this weekend. They broke into 2 different gun shops and stole at least 6 pistols out of one and some guns out of the other one. And I haven't seen anything on the news. Have you heard anything about it?
No. Where did the robberies occur?
I know they broke into McLean's in West Corners, and they broke into, I think it's Southern Tier Sportsman. But they were both the same night, about 3:30 in the morning.
And do you know what night? Do you know what night it was?
God, I want to say
sometime last week.
I want to say Sunday night, but I may be wrong. I mean, you could stop at McLean's and ask them, but
maybe I will. I wonder why the police wouldn't put that out. You would think that local law enforcement, because they want to protect us, that they would put the word out.
Yeah, and I wanted to put it out because people should know there's like a dozen guns now running out in the streets that are stolen. And
yeah, well, my guess is this is, and I don't know this to be a fact, but I have a theory that the people who took those guns are not necessarily law-abiding citizens. That's my theory.
Well, when they come in at 3:30 in the morning with hoodies and masks and smash the
exactly. I'm not so sure that those are the type of people I want to interview. It'd be just my luck. I'm out doing a video on Twitter at 4 in the morning out on Washington Avenue, and then I meet one of those guys, and they're like, "Who do you think you are, smart Alec?" And it's like, "Well, I'm just recording a video at 4 in the morning." It's like, we shoot people like you.
Well, I just thought maybe if you talk to Chief of Endicott or you talk to somebody, you just ask, let us know as citizens what's going on. I mean, we should know these things.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I'm kind of mystified why those stories are not circulated by our, as they would say, our law enforcement partners. 1032 at WNBF. Speaking of that, though, if you're a law enforcement partner or just a person with information, one of the best places to direct your information is to Bob at WNBF.com. And you could put in the subject line, confidential news tip. And that way I'll know right at the outset that you don't want your name attached to the information. But if you have information, hey, for all I know, the way things work around here, for all I know, people are stealing weapons and ammunition every night. Maybe they've got something interesting planned, for all I know, because obviously this is not like the 70s or 80s or 90s when these things were routinely announced by the authorities. So it might behoove you, if you know something about what's going on, whether it's people stealing guns or ammunition or explosives, might behoove you to let me know so I can at least look into it. That's all I can do. I can't do much. All I can do is ask questions. There's nothing that will compel the investigators to explain it. I mean, if they haven't put it out by now, I guess there's no reason why. Probably would just say I can't talk about that. You know that, Bob. It's 10:34. Good morning. You're on the air. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
My name is Jim. I'm calling from Binghamton, New York.
Morning, Jim. You're on the air. What's going on?
I was putting a little bit of thought into the homeless or the unhoused problem in the south side of Binghamton in the 6th District. I believe you just had a representative on who's been a part of helping the people out in the community for quite some time with that. I was thinking that right over, it was just a thought, that right over there in that area is the Southside Park, which has a pool and a building that has restrooms and lockers. And shortly, the pool season will be closed. And I thought that might make a nice area right there for them to have like a warming station or a place to take a shower. Because also, just right up the road is the fire department, 2-3 blocks up, that would be able to help out with things like any type of emergencies or assistance that the unhoused might need. And then if you go 2 blocks over the other direction, you have the Broome County Council Churches, who provides food for the community and maybe other programs that they might be able to help with. So it's just kind of one nice centrally located area. The pool will be closed shortly. They have the nice flat park area there where, they could maybe have some type of managed tent city there or tent set up there. It's just a thought, with the crisis that we have down here in Binghamton with the unhoused. It might be a good solution.
Thank you for sharing your ideas. We'll see what others have to say.
Okay, great. And you have a great day. You
too. 10:35 at WNBF. This is a community conversation. No one is excluded. So if you have thoughts, if you have ideas, or if you want to talk about ideas like that, you can call us 607-772-1290 with Bob Joseph, Binghamton Now, on the air Monday through Friday from 9 to noon. Coming up later today on my favorite radio station, from noon to 3, Dan Bongino. From 3 to 6, Sean Hannity. And you know that they will have something to say. So stay tuned to WNBF. Listen longer. 92.1 FM, 1290 AM, and streaming at WNBF.com. Let's go back to the phones. Larry from Waverly. Good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Bob. I was interested in your last call when you was talking about possibly helping the homeless or, the unhoused. Not all the homeless are homeless by choice. There's a variety of circumstances, especially in light of the recent court decision that affected, I believe, Oregon, where they could actually arrest people for being homeless. I mean, this is insane. That being said, he's got some good ideas. Hopefully some people in Binghamton in the area will take a closer look at what he's saying. I think it deserves merit. That being said, you had a caller earlier who talked about the independent voter. The missus and I are independent voters, and guess what? We can swing the election.
Well, that is true. The thing is so many people have made up their minds, but not the independents.
Ask Claudia Tenney what happened against Anthony Brzezinski. I probably just butchered his last name.
Anthony Brindisi.
But what happened when he ran against her and she ran her usual garbage can, trash the opponent campaign, and enough of us said enough is enough, and it's time for a change. And she got the boot. Of course, she didn't take it too well. And then when she came back, I think that was the longest it took to decide a district race. I mean, that was crazy. So anyway,
that dragged on for months and months.
That works. We are here, and I think we're going to play a major part of the coming campaign. And for all you Trump lovers out there, the missus and I are voting for Miss Harris because it's time to send him away.
When you have last week, you and Vinny I believe it was Vinny, we're talking about the former head of Exxon, who talked about Trump on the global stage.
Yeah, Rex Tillerson. Rex Tillerson, an Eagle Scout, by the way. So Eagle Scouts, you can trust them.
Yep. I went as far in Boy Scouts as God and Country, and then I couldn't make the Eagle because of my age.
Yep. Well, Rex Tillerson, I think, was a keen observer. And by the way, based on everything I've read about Rex Tillerson, he, I think, almost always has been a Republican and viewed as a conservative. So I trust Rex Tillerson's assessment of presidents. I may not necessarily agree with his worldview, but I think he's a keen observer of the competency of elected officials.
You know, another good one is John Bolton, the former security advisor.
Yeah, John Bolton had a few things to say about Donald Trump.
Now, this guy is so far to the right, I think he's coming up on the other side.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. Interesting, those two guys in particular, and, sadly, they're not alone. I mean,
no.
It's if it was just one or two people, but there are, I would say probably at least dozens of people who have worked closely with Donald Trump over the years who've come out with some very, very sobering assessments.
You know what the problem is? And this is from, standing back and taking a look. They're trying to tell him, look, stay on the issues and you'll probably win. But I believe he's got this, I can do it, and I can do it my way. And thank you for your advice, but we're going to do it my way. And right now, your campaign is treading water, and you do not know how to handle this competent, educated woman who, I think she stands an odds-on chance of winning. And I think her selection for vice president is a bit heads above the other one. That's just my assessment. I mean, I'm pushing 74 years old, and I've seen a few things in my day.
Well, as you said, it'll probably come down to independents. Independent voters likely will decide this year's presidential election.
But here's the other scary part. They've already started questioning the process. This is the Republicans, Trump's campaign, about how Ms. Harris, secured, it'll be official at the Democratic convention, but they're claiming that it wasn't proper, that, they jumped through hoops, et cetera, et cetera. If Trump loses, are they going to try and go to the Supreme Court and claim she was never the proper candidate due to the process?
Well, you can imagine he'll be inclined to do that. I don't know if that's what'll happen, but if that would be incredibly scary for the future of the country if the election winds up in the hands of the Supreme Court. That's never a good thing.
It happened once before.
I know, and we know how that turned out. And we know that even to this day, there are a lot of people who question the wisdom of Al Gore conceding.
Now, one more quick thing before I let you go. Trump claims he's going to make the economy better. Well, he has made the economy better. Look at all the lawyers he employs.
True. And those are really well-paying jobs. So that is good. Probably many attorneys in New York State, Florida, and the District of Columbia have had who knows how many billable hours thanks to the Trump train. Let's go back to, the South Side. Gary on the South Side, you're on the air.
Morning, Bob. I concur with the last caller. Everything he said is right on the money. It's good to hear that. I would like to clear up some of the, Trump, former guy, was in Asheville, North Carolina, and he had a speech on economics yesterday. And I'd like to clear up 3 of his lies that he talked about having the greatest economy in history. Well, under his tutelage, the GDP rate was 2.6 per year on average. Under Biden, it's 3.5. This is the GDP. Jobs, he created 182,000 on average, and Biden created 271,000. It would have been 379,000 if you want to include the COVID jobs. Energy independence. Well, guess what? We are energy independent. He talked about we're importing all this nasty crude from Venezuela. Well, during his time, they imported 10.3 billion barrels per year. Under Biden, 1.7 billion. And we are now, as of this year, energy independent. Okay, we actually are exporting, not importing. Crime, the crime lie. Well, the crime is 100,000 per citizens. Okay, we're looking at 100,000, and the crime is 398 violent crime under Trump. Under Biden, it's 294 per 100,000. And the crime rate under those circumstances, 220 per 100,000 for U.S.-born citizens, 190 per 100,000 for legal immigrants, and 99 for undocumented immigrants. So they are not adding crime. In fact, the undocumented immigrants are trying to stay below the radar so they don't get deported.
Yeah.
And also,
they have no reason to do anything that's going to raise their profile and call attention to themselves. So one could argue that many are probably more law-abiding than some Binghamton Now listeners.
Well, there's it's the violent crime. All the crime is really being, by documented and, native-born citizens here in the United States. It's an absolute lie to say that all these people are coming across the border. In fact, the border crossings are way down now. It's just like there's just a trickle. So,
well, there's got to be some real concern in the Trump campaign because of the direction certain things are going with border crossings, with the economy, with the crime rate, the fact that the recession cheerleaders appear to have been wrong. I mean, people were claiming for the last 3.5 years we're headed for a recession. Well, despite their best efforts, it hasn't happened. And I guess at this stage, if it hasn't happened by August 15th, that recession they've been hoping for, so they could slide back into the White House, it's not likely to happen between now and November 5th.
Also, all this good news is also creating the Fed's going to have to lower their rate. They just can't hold it up.
September, the rate will be lowered, and you're going to see a lot of people happy, including a lot of people who were in the in the balcony saying, "Hey, look out, the recession, and there can't be a soft landing." Well, turns out maybe there can be. Thank you for your call. It's 10:52 at WNBF. Good morning. You're on the air. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, this is Jim from Owego again. My mind is just, we're living in an ulterior reality. The last couple callers, a couple things they said, it just, you talk about people that worked under Trump. Well, you don't mention that 92% of the people that worked under Kamala Harris quit because she was such a bully. You don't mention that she fails her law exam. She's not very smart. You can tell by the word salad she does. Sometimes I wonder if she's as competent as Biden. And then to say that the economy is better now than it was, it just defies all reality. One of the things you're looking at is the reason the numbers don't look good for Trump is that he was in the middle of a COVID pandemic, so it affected all the numbers. But most of the employment numbers that you tout for added jobs came as people got their jobs back after the COVID was done. So they weren't creating new jobs. People were just coming back to what they were. The other thing is when you quote crime statistics, they don't even list the top 10 or 15 major urban areas don't even send their statistics in anymore. So you're not dealing with apples to apples.
So you think crime is out of control?
It's definitely up. Yes.
Okay. All right. And I noticed gas prices are definitely down compared to a year ago.
Sure, they're coming down.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so we see some positive trends. The Fed will lower the rate at its September meeting, and latest inflation report that was released by the federal government Wednesday morning was very encouraging. So it sounds like things are heading in the right direction.
It's because we're coming up on an election year.
Well, of course, that's to be expected. So I'm not unduly concerned. I mean, I would like $2 a gallon gas, but contrary to what the one guy said, he's not going to reduce energy prices to the level. What did he say? Something like 50 to 70%? Oh, come on, man. He can't do that.
Do you think with Kamala's green climate hoax that the gas prices are going to go down when she gets elected?
I didn't say they'll go down, but I can say energy prices aren't going to go down 50 to 70%, as the one guy said yesterday. Just between you and me, Jim, do you believe that?
I hadn't heard that, but that is.
Yeah, I concede. I just read it. I didn't hear the actual audio. I don't know if I can find that, but that's one of the stories said he was talking about energy prices coming down at least 50% if he's elected president.
Yeah, I'll concede that sometimes I find Trump's exaggerations a little bit beyond the pale, and that's from somebody that's totally aligned with his policies, but I will concede that. But
yeah, no, thank you. No, I mean, no, I don't doubt. I'll stipulate I don't expect any energy prices to come down at all if Kamala Harris is elected, but I'm also skeptical that energy prices will come down if Trump's elected. But, again, we'll see. We'll see. Appreciate your call. Hey, we have more calls coming up. We're only getting started. Stick around and call if you haven't called already here on WNBF. As we return to the phones for another big hour of conversation, Chris from Binghamton. Good morning.
Hey, I just wanted to clarify something I said. I called in about an hour ago. The CNN news commentator was Greta Van Susteren, and this was on Monday when she made this huge TikTok that had a bazillion views. And basically what she did was she typed in Trump campaign appearances on her computer, and they filmed it. And what came up on the Google search was Kamala appearances and rallies. So I just want to clarify that this was on Monday. This was on TikTok, and it's obviously Thursday right now. So I'm sure Google has corrected it. I just want to really tell listeners that they should always just be questioning everything that they hear and see, especially with, the media being as liberal as it is. I mean, just 7 minutes ago on the ABC News, they said that crime is down all over, the United States, and they mentioned outliers. Well, crime isn't down all over the United States, and referring to situations as outliers in this state that we're in, please don't tell me New York City crime is down. I mean, female cops are being beaten up hourly, okay? New York City is riddled with crime. It's such an important election, and it's really, really important for viewers to really just ask themselves, is what I'm listening to the truth? No, I don't believe for a second that they're saying crime is down. Crime is not down in Chicago. Crime is not down in Manhattan. Crime is not down in L.A. Crime is not down, period. So I don't understand where ABC News gets off on reporting this. First of all, I don't believe it for a second, and no one should believe it.
Okay. One correction, though. Greta Van Susteren doesn't work for CNN.
Okay, well, wherever she works.
Yeah, Newsmax TV, which we know is a conservative-oriented outlet. So she's been gone from CNN for years.
Oh, so I don't follow her, but it came up in my For You page. And so the last...
Yeah, she's been with Newsmax TV for the last 2 years.
Oh, okay. So again, like I don't follow her. The last time I did follow her, it was on the network, probably about 10 years ago, honestly. And I just want to say that she posted it. Go check it out on TikTok or your kids' TikToks or whoever, your listeners use, whatever TikTok they have access to. I don't know. But I'm just saying, like, she typed it in, and I'm glad that, she switched networks. Like I said, I don't follow her. But really just, I think it's up to everybody to just really question their news feeds and what they're really, the information that they're getting, because it's such garbage out there. Such garbage. It's not even truth. I mean, I'm listening to you right now for Fair and Balanced News, and I think you're great. I really, really do. I can tell you Fox isn't giving it to us correctly. CNN's not giving it to us correctly. Like, really just follow up on whatever you're hearing.
Well, the bottom line is nobody is 100% accurate. Nobody. There's not a single news source. I'm not 100% accurate. If I was listening, I wouldn't rely only on Binghamton Now, or I wouldn't rely only on ABC, CBS, NBC, Newsmax, Fox, and so on. I would be always looking for a variety of sources and new sources, too, along the way.
And I agree with that. So, like, I'm just saying, like, you really have to follow up with everything. And it's just so frustrating when you hear things on, like, ABC News for, like, 7 minutes ago. And, like, are you going to think, oh, like, the average person probably would think, oh, crime is down. Kamala Harris is doing such a great job. And that's kind of like the people that they're trying to get to in their brains. And it's not the case at all. And I can't be the only person frustrated with this. I mean, I'm sorry, but yeah, I don't know. Like, just question whatever you're listening to.
Always be skeptical. What I say is trust but verify.
Yeah, absolutely. So I just wanted to impart that and just follow up. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
11:15 WNBF. Trust but verify. That's my theory. Okay, ask questions. Always ask a few questions. Always. 607-772-1290. Good morning. You're on the air. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Hello there again, Bob. It's Dave from Vestal.
Yeah, what's going on?
Bob, I've been listening. I've been paying close attention. I usually do until I get busy and I can't think in 8 different directions. But, Bob, I find it pretty pathetic and small-minded and frankly unpatriotic, where you got callers, they're calling in, and the only reason they can give to support Harris is that she's not Trump. That's the only, she stands for.
Well, there's probably some people out there who are thinking the only reason they're going to vote for Trump is he's not Harris.
No, he has a record to run on, Bob.
Well, she does too. So some people like his record, some people like her record. She has a record. Never forget, she was a prosecutor. Never forget, he's been convicted of 34 felonies.
If you're going to vote to keep liberal progressives in the White House, then that's equivalent to sanctioning communism, Bob. We know.
Well, no, that isn't. That's essentially wrong. Here's another way of looking at it. If you want somebody who hasn't been convicted of any felonies, vote for the Democratic ticket. If you want a ticket that has nearly 36 felony convictions, vote for the Republican ticket. That's one way. If you're law and order, that's one way you could look at it.
I'm still waiting. Please call in and give me all her qualities, all her capabilities of handling the presidency of the United States. I'm still waiting to hear these callers. Come on, Vinny, call in.
Operators are standing by. 11:17 at WNBF. Good morning. We're taking lots of calls. We're getting a good cross-section, too, despite the water in the lines. Good morning. You're on the air. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Another day, another bashing Trump.
Hey, life is good. Good morning, Bob.
Oh, my God, you people. My buddy just asked me, why do you even listen to him? I said, because I...
You know what? Yeah, how about try this? Just between now and November 5th, stop listening. And my guess is your blood pressure will improve, your overall attitude will improve, and then you can call November 6th and you let me know how how the experiment worked.
No, my blood pressure, just listen. I just can't believe some of these people that call in here. And Trump got convicted on bull, you know what. So don't even go with that. You've got people on the other side that are so friggin' crooked, and they get away with it. Yet you people never bring that up. That's what frustrates me, Rob from Fort Crane, Tom from Endwell, the guys that are on the smart side of the... And why can't we talk about, like, movies or music or something?
Well, nobody wants to talk about that. Nobody wants to talk about movies or music. They want to talk about the election. This is, as Vin Scully said, this is the most important election of our lifetime.
Oh, you just love to bash Trump, and you cannot get away. And
I didn't bash Trump. My friend, you're wrong. I haven't said anything during your call bashing Donald Trump.
Okay, listen, Dave just made a point. Well, people on the other side, you always twist everything around. No matter what the person's talking about, you always twist it around to Trump this or Trump that or this or that. When somebody calls about a subject, talk about that subject, not about something else on the other side. Do you understand why people get frustrated with you? I don't get you. You think you want people to like you, but you seem to alienate people. Isn't your job to get people to like you?
No, this is not a popularity contest. This is a talk show. This is a talk show.
Yeah, with your opinion every second of the friggin' show. Let people... Oh, my God. See, here we go, round and round. It's every time I call. You try to tell me how popular you are, and you're not. You people...
No, I just said I'm not popular. I am not... This is not a popularity contest. That's my point.
See? There you go with that now. Don't tell me you don't like people that like you. Oh, my God. I just... My God, I don't know how you ever got this position, but wow.
I lucked into it. Trust me, Bob. I didn't want to host this talk show.
Why did you do it then?
Because nobody else will do it.
I'll do it. I'll have you out of there in a week.
No, you won't.
Yeah, bull. I'd have so many people calling the phones.
You're never going to find out the pleasure that you get from hosting America's best reality show.
I think you own part of that station. That's the only reason you're on. I'm pretty sure, because the people there can't be that. Whatever.
Yeah, got disconnected there. Sorry about that. I didn't hang up on him. I think we have water on the line. It's 11:21. Good morning. You're on the air. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Ron from Vestal.
Good morning. What's on your mind?
Well, I just want to let you know, as accurately as I can, that if you cannot get to the Trump rally on Saturday, Newsmax usually covers the rally and will, show the entire rally to you as it takes place live. So if you can't make it down there, or if you run out of tickets or whatever, check with Newsmax on Saturday at what time is it? 4 o'clock?
Yeah, it'll be Saturday afternoon at 4.
Okay, yeah, Saturday afternoon at 4 on Newsmax, and you'll be able to see his speech. So just say.
Is anyone allowed to watch?
Sure, you can watch, Bob.
How much is the subscription?
I don't have it. I don't know what.
Because I don't want to pay to watch the rally.
Well, then what do you want to pay to watch?
I don't want to pay to watch anything. This is supposed to be a free country. When I grew up, TV was free. And now look, since the Republicans were in control, TV now costs us hundreds of dollars a month. I want to go back to free TV. How come he won't promise that? He's talking about energy prices. I want to go back to free TV.
Hey, how about no tips on no taxes on tips?
Makes no difference to me. I don't get any tips. I don't care if taxes are or if tips are still taxed by the federal government. That doesn't apply to me. I've never been tipped in my life. I deserve a tip every day, at least 20% for doing the greatest job ever.
Well, if you haven't got a tip in your life, maybe there's a reason for it.
Wait, hold on. I stand corrected. I apologize. I made a mistake.
No problem.
Okay, thank you. Because I strive to be accurate. And when I was delivering the newspaper for the evening and Sunday press back in Endicott, back in the good old days when they had a newspaper, I did get tips from many customers because I excelled at customer service. And so now that I think about it, to be accurate, I was a recipient of tips. And I'll also tell you accurately, I don't believe I paid a penny in taxes on my tips.
Uh-oh. Well, you know what? There's, 86,000 new IRS.
They're coming to get me.
They're going to be coming to get you.
Okay, if I'm not here tomorrow, you know what happened.
Absolutely.
So I did get some tips. But it has been decades. But yes, I did get some tips. But I will say unequivocally, I earned those tips because I really, when I was a paper boy, and I know it sounds sexist, but okay, I was a paper carrier, and I always would strive to give people service always more than they expected. Super serve them in terms of, do you want your newspaper between the door and the screen door or under the mat or in a secret hiding place or whatever, no matter.
Well, you did a real good, excellent job.
Yeah. But again, to your point, I never paid. Now it comes out finally after all these years. So maybe the IRS will make an example out of me. I'll be the poster child for people who didn't pay taxes on their tips.
But Bob, don't worry. I'm sure the statute of limitations has run out.
Gosh, I hope so.
But wait a minute. With the IRS, you never know.
Hey, thanks. Have a great afternoon.
Take care now. Bye-bye.
11:26. Yes, he thought he was getting somewhere with his honesty policy, and all it got him was 10-20 at Sing Sing. Let that be a lesson to you. It's 11:26. More calls are coming up with Bob Joseph on WNBF. In Shenango Forks, you're on the air.
Hello, Bob.
Morning, David.
Hey, you can watch on YouTube. You can watch RSBN or Newsmax for free, and you watch all Trump's rallies there.
All right. I'll make a note of it. So if I am free Saturday afternoon at 4, I'll tune in.
Okay, and I'm going to Wilkes-Barre to see him for the first time, and it's free too.
All right. Did you get your ticket? Did you reserve?
Yeah, tickets online. They text them to you.
All right. I've got the page open now. I might sign up. I got the page open. I can sign up by the end of the show. Maybe I'll see you down there.
Okay.
All right. Thanks for calling, David.
Sure.
11:30 at WNBF. DJ in Binghamton.
Good morning, Bob. The best memory that I have in my lifetime of WNBF is when they had a holiday party, and it must have been, I'd guess probably 2016, and the food was incredible. Everybody, I think it was a dish to pass. I don't remember if they had subs or not. Maybe that was the next year. But then Kathy White said she suggested putting a security lock on the door. So you guys don't have anything. Nobody can come in anymore. But let me tell you this also, Bob. About a half hour before you talked about it, before you mentioned the word tip jar, that actually came to me. A thought came to me. They should have a giant tip jar out front with a lock on it, so that our wonderful future Binghamton University students who might be a little inebriated doesn't try to help themselves. I actually got that thought, and then you joked around about a tip jar. But are you guys ever going to have a holiday party where people can come in again?
No.
Because that was great. Why did they stop that?
Because of operational requirements.
Somebody acted out.
Yeah, you never know. I mean, you open the place up to the public. I mean, what can you do?
Well, I am looking forward to you, Don Morgan, who does the news, or you doing a story tomorrow or on your website about these shops that the guy said got robbed. Don't they have an alarm system that has a direct communication to the police like the banks do? If you have guns and rifles and AR-15s and handguns in your shop, wouldn't you have the most elaborate, expensive alarm system?
I would.
I know.
If I had a gun shop, there'd be so much security it'd make your head spin.
That's right.
It's not that I don't trust, it's just that I want to verify. I mean, you start selling guns and ammunition, of course some bad people probably will want to break in, sadly. Thanks for your call. 11:33 at WNBF. Good morning. You're on the air. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, this is Cliffy from the Ward.
Yeah, what's going on?
Hey, I'm with Bob. Let's talk a little music. You're always talking about clicks. I got an idea. Every day on your homepage there, you put a button there for bumper music. You can call it bumpers or something, and list all the bumper music you played on that day, and I bet the clicks would be coming off the wall, Bob.
I think you may have an idea there. I bet a lot of people, because even the people who don't like this program do like the bumper music.
I know. I think it would be a great idea. And
One person told me the bumper music here on the station is so good, you ought to just have like a station called WBMP and just play bumper music. Can you imagine? So Binghamton Now, continuing on AM 1290 and also 92.1 FM, but a new spin-off station called WBMP FM. By the way, those call letters, I think, are already assigned, but something like that.
Yeah.
And all we would do is play bumper music 24/7.
There you go.
Thank you.
No, I'm serious.
I know.
Think you would get a lot of clicks on that, Bob.
All right. Well,
I'd be one of them looking every day to see what I could put on my phone for my list.
All right. I will put that into the suggestion box.
Okay. You have a great day.
Thank you. It's 11:34 WNBF, the station that really does answer its phone. How many stations, or for that matter, how many newspapers answer their phone? The answer is very, very few. I guarantee you call 10 random media outlets right now. I'm serious. Between now and noon, 10 random Binghamton media outlets, and see how many of them answer their own phone. Morning, I'm Bob. How may I help you?
Hey, good morning, Bob. This is Martin.
Hi, good morning. How may I help you?
Good.
By the way, this is not staged, right? This is an actual phone call from an actual viewer. We didn't set this up. This is me actually answering the phone at 11:35 on a Thursday morning.
Yes, it is. This is Bob Joseph, who when I first heard you on the program some 12, 13 years ago, I thought, hey, this is going to be good. This guy's a business guy. Tony was a nice guy. He was kind of like an odd Chucks kind of guy, Northern Exposure type of DJ. But, you've been a great asset for it. And I'm sick of listening to that. Bob denigrates you every time. The world according to them. Don't you people see? Well, I see. And I look for facts, and I just, I'm tired of him putting you down. This is we are so lucky to have a program like this, a forum where it's such a great variety things throughout the whole week. So that's all. I'm going to give you kudos for the program, and he could never host the program. I mean, my God, we got enough of Republicans on afterwards, But the reason I'm calling, though, is, now their Project 2025, they're going to hold back the release of the book. If it was so good for America, why aren't they publishing it? But one thing came out yesterday that
wait, they're not publishing. Is that true that they won't publish the book?
Yes.
Why?
Holding it back.
Why? I want to see the book. I want the book.
Here's one reason why, Bob. Now they're against dog parks. They don't.
Wait a second. Hold the phone. Hold the phone. I've been relatively quiet about the Project 2025 up until this point. But if true, this is big. Tell me what you heard.
Well, yes, Kevin Roberts, head of the Heritage Foundation, and the author of the book and stuff. But it was all over the news yesterday, and I was looking today, especially at Wikipedia, which is right on. But what he says is dog parks are anti-family. They take away money from the kids in their parks, and it's like, wait a minute, don't children love dogs? Aren't there
all
families
children
that
love
dog
dogs?
parks?
The only person I know who doesn't love dogs is Donald Trump. He's the only president I can think of who never had a dog in the White House. Is that true?
Yeah,
at least in recent years. I'm sure George Washington didn't have a dog, but that's okay. That dogs were not to be expected as they are now. Everyone has dogs.
He was the first one in 104 years.
I know. And I'm not, by the way, I'm not criticizing him. That's, as an American, it's his right as an American and as a president not to have a dog. But I think that speaks volumes. It conveys something to dog lovers and even cat lovers. By the way, I'm looking this up now on the internet about dog parks because I find this part troubling. So it says, I lost it, but there was, something about the dog parks that they're against. And come on, man.
Because they're taking away money. They're taking away precious space.
Oh, that's heartbreaking.
And there's so much land. Come on, give me a break.
There's plenty of land. I mean, look at the dog parks in our area. There's a dog park on the north side, Sherry Lindsay Dog Park. On the north side, there's the dog park over in the town of Union, Choconut Center Dog Park, and
Airport
then
Road.
the one, Airport Road, yep. And then there's also a nice one at the Hickories in the town of Owego. That's not that much land. Oh,
and
come on, man!
One up on top of Otsego, Bob. The new one.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's the newest one, and And I covered that with enthusiasm when the county announced it because there's one thing I know, Martin, whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, whether you're a liberal or conservative, if you're an American, you love dogs. You love dogs. You may also love cats. Many do. And some people love aardvarks or ferrets or whatever. You don't have to be a member of PETA to love dogs. But
yes, sir. Go ahead.
This is heartbreaking.
Well, they're holding back the book, though. That's the main thing. If it's so good for America,
I want the book. I want the book, and I want it. I want it released by September 1st.
Yeah.
Please.
Well, let's see. Yeah, well, they don't want you to see what's in it. Like I just said.
Well, I want to see it.
I want to
see it.
In vitro fertilization, all that's anti-family, and it's just they want conservative Christian values.
Sounds like from what I'm hearing about Project 2025, it sounds like they're anti-freedom.
They certainly are. They're certainly anti-women. They are big time anti-women.
Well, if that's true, if they are anti-women, that's a dangerous position because, as you know, there are more women in the United States of America than men.
Yeah, wait till Taylor Swift whips up these young.
I hadn't even
girls.
thought about that. That could be the Democrats' secret weapon. The final 10 days, that could be the October surprise when Kamala Harris announces that she's going to create a Department of Entertainment if she's elected president, and that Taylor Swift will be the first secretary of the U.S. Department of Entertainment. I think a lot of young people, and not just women, but I think a lot of people under the age of 50, if Kamala Harris puts that out as a proposal to create a Department of Entertainment, and that department would be responsible for kind of overseeing, and not forcing, but overseeing, like who will be the big entertainer at the Super Bowl, who gets to do the national anthem at, say, the World Series games and so on. I mean, they're not going to force anything, but just to help serve as a clearinghouse for American entertainers. I think that'd be great.
Yeah, that's a good point. But look how much money she's generating for the world's economy.
That's another thing. I bet if you ran the numbers, I bet the Taylor Swift, the Taylor Swift industry probably is more powerful than the economies of at least 50 smaller countries.
I wouldn't doubt it.
And think of the jobs. Think of the jobs that Taylor Swift has created.
Oh yes, all the ancillary parts that are coming down. I mean,
this is big.
The parking, the souvenirs. I mean, just everything. You know.
Well, Martin, keep an eye out. I'll probably be driving around in your neighborhood a little bit later this afternoon. So if you see me, wave.
Yeah, I intend to be cutting the grass and taking care.
Okay. If you see me, just wave.
All right.
Thanks.
All right, Bob. Take care.
1143 WNBF with a real host who really answers his own phone. I don't delegate that. I find it too important, unlike the other talk show hosts who would never, in their wildest nightmares, answer their own phones. 92.1 FM, 1290 AM. Remember, you can stay connected with us using the free WNBF app. Power to the people. Well, there was a power outage that affected quite a few people in Binghamton this morning. At one point, more than 1,400 Binghamton NYSEG customers had no electricity. I know you're saying, Bob, that's shocking. No, it wasn't. Every time somebody tried to get shocked, they couldn't in those locations. On the west side, Murray Street, North Street, Front Street, Mather Street, and so on and so forth, Oak Street. So 1,414 customers were without power for a time. As one of our special correspondents noted, there were traffic signals that were knocked out along Front Street, Front and Main, Front and Clinton, Front and Oak. Well, the latest is that apparently most power has been restored. There are, according to NYSEG, about 24 customers over on the east side who are without power. So that seems to be a separate issue, but there was a fairly widespread outage over the last couple of hours around the west side, but that seems to have been cleared up. If you have any secret information, any tips about why they would shut off the power on the west side, or for all I know, it was accidental. Anyway, if you know what's going on, certainly you send your anonymous tip to bob@WNBF.com. Let's head south. Bill in Charlotte, you're on the air.
Good morning, Bob.
Morning.
So I wanted to talk about some crime and the lack of reporting. Like I mentioned to you, there was an illegal person just randomly shooting people in Charlotte a couple weeks ago. I think they killed 3 or 4 people. But like I've been going all over the country, and you come across these little stores that says, due to the increase in crime, we are no longer open 24 hours. You know, I'm not talking about Walmart. I'm talking about like little convenience stores and mom and pop stores, for one. And like Kim Commando, I was listening to her a while ago, and there are gangs that are coming over specifically to commit crimes and go back, because she was a victim of the crime. They come over and they set up cameras by your house, and when you leave, they know, and then they come in and they rob your house and they're gone before you get back. Also, like up in New Hampshire, there is a homeless, they call it an immigrant program, and so far this year they've had over 300 serious incidents involving the illegals.
What town is that?
It was New Hampshire. I don't know what town. I don't know. I'm not by the computer. I can email you later when I find out what town. But it was like the immigrant program. So it may be more than one place, but they're all illegals, and they're, like I said, over 300 incidents. A couple days ago, there was a couple of illegals that, right in the daytime in Coney Island under the boardwalk, raped a girl. So I mean, and then Harris, they want more illegals to come in. So I mean, I'd say a vote for her would be a vote for our 15-year-olds getting raped.
Well, I think that is exactly the wrong conclusion, but you're entitled to your opinion. The one thing I would say, if you're going to go out in Charlotte, just be careful. Pay attention to your surroundings.
Oh, I do. Cause,
okay.
Yeah, there's some bad elements down here, too.
Yeah, always. All right.
Yeah, definitely.
Thanks for your call.
Day.
1150 WNBF with the amazing Bob Joseph manning the telephones here. Hi, you're on the air. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
James from Endwell.
Hi, James.
Yeah, so following up on that last caller, my son's fiance, her parents just got robbed in San Diego, California. And it's that same scenario that caller just mentioned. They had cameras set up around their home, and when they were gone, they came in and stole $1 million worth of belongings.
Well, they must be rich.
Well, they are. They're real estate agents in California.
Yeah, I'm not saying that makes it right. No, it makes it even worse. I mean, what we realize, most crime crime-ridden areas of the country tend to be the poor areas. The poor sections of town have a disproportionately higher amount of vehicle break-ins and burglaries and larcenies. But yeah, it just goes to show, even if you're living in a good section of town, you could still be targeted.
We just had a vehicle break-in here in Endwell, and also they have some squatters just around the corner here near Winston Drive. But getting back to that break-in in San Diego, the San Diego police said that what's going on is groups are coming in, they're very professional, and they take the merchandise and sell it overseas. They ship it right out, so it's hard to catch them.
Yeah, that's a problem. I agree. That they should probably check with FedEx or whoever they're shipping and tell FedEx to stop shipping stolen goods out of America.
Well, the problem, too, is now they couldn't even get reimbursed on their insurance because they didn't document it with pictures and, receipts and stuff. So that's something people might want to consider if they have valuables, to make sure they document it for the insurance companies. So,
yeah, what a shame. Isn't it a shame sometimes when you try to file an insurance claim and they seem to always have some excuse why it's not covered?
Yeah, or, in the case of automobiles, they don't want to pay the value you paid for the car. They want to pay the current value. That's why I think there's different options. You can get replacement cost.
Right.
It costs a little extra money on the premium.
Well, just the other day, one of our listeners got his vehicle vandalized in downtown Binghamton, and really wasn't worth his time to file a claim because his policy has a $500 deductible. It's just not fair. Thanks for your call. 11:53 at WNBF. Good morning. You're on the air. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, it's James from Binghamton.
Oh, hi, James. Yeah, I was in your neighborhood the other day, too, but I didn't see anything going on.
Oh, well, usually keep a low profile. I bring in the ostriches and pinwheels when you're coming around, so, it's understandable that you wouldn't know something was going on. I'm coming to you from way up from the North Country today, actually. Miss Stefanik says hi.
Well, I call her Ellie.
Ellie?
Yeah. Ellie Stefanik.
I'd love to call her anything than my own representative, which makes me kind of glad I live in the Southern Tier. But anyway, that's another story.
What if she moves, though? What if, against all odds, I mean, obviously it's too late for this election, but if for the next election cycle she wants to move into the district, there's nothing that precludes her from moving. We saw Claudia Tenney moved.
Wait, you're saying someone who finds a district with like Saratoga and the Adirondacks like beneath her and is begging for Daddy Trump to pull her out is going to find a better place of stature in like Elmira? I mean, or the Southern. I don't know, man. All right,
well,
okay.
She might like Binghamton now. Who knows? James, I may be in the market for a substitute host.
Oh, that could be fun.
Somebody, wouldn't it be great if Ms. Stefanik moved down here to, I don't know, Vestal? Seems like that would be a good place. And then she could fill in on Mondays and Fridays when I didn't feel like coming in, when I wanted a long weekend.
No, I'm sure they'd welcome her as a major benefactor and spokesperson for the university. Absolutely.
You imagine her hanging out with Harvey Stenger?
No, not a second.
Oh, my gosh.
That's not why I called. No, it's funny when I hear people talk about, like, there was a woman who called in earlier and is talking about, it's funny. Okay, so you get statistics that say crime is at an all-time low, especially in some counties in New York, or some survey says New York is the ninth best place to live. And you'd think people wake up every day hoping for bad news so they can stand around in a circle and, I won't use this figure of speech, pat each other on the back all day with how miserable they are. And it's like, okay, you want to denigrate Manhattan or New York because, like, you're scared of just some regular, like, broken window street crime, fine. But then when you start, like, throwing in Chicago and L.A., and, like, I get it. You're getting fed an umbilical cord of crap, because, like, I'm there regularly. Unless you work in New York lately at all or often, you'd know that New York is probably the safest and best it's been since pre-9/11, man. Like, it's got its challenges. And yes, of course, someone's going to get mugged every day somewhere out of like 9 million people, but how about this? Spend a weekend or some time down in Manhattan or Brooklyn or something, or go out to Coney Island, stop taking whatever they're going to spoon feed you. I can tell you a story about a kid from the suburbs in Conklin who picked up a gun he shouldn't have owned and went to Buffalo. You know what I mean? So, like,
that he bought from the Union District of Endicott, no less.
Yeah.
So I'm not picking on people. I'm just stating facts. Hey, I got to run along. Appreciate your call from the North Country.
Love you, Bobby. Take care.
And that is all the time I have for today. Don't worry. The best program of the week will be tomorrow from 9 to noon. I'm Bob Joseph on WNBF.